Hi folks, I'm Dave at Up North NY, and I thought I would bring you a brief video today of jigging for lake trout on Cayuga Lake. I've been doing some research into trying to improve techniques and my abilities at jigging. I'll admit, when I started a couple of years ago, my first 2 or 3 tries were completely unsuccessful, and I quickly lost interest and decided that it wasn't for me. But more recently, I decided I really needed to make a concerted effort at it, and so decided I needed to figure this out. From an instructional perspective, my one piece of advice is, in jigging for lakers, you drop the jig to the bottom and you reel it back up. There's really no jigging effort going on. The jigs that I use are a teardrop jig in a 1 ounce or a 3/4 ounce weight, although I have used round jigs and I've used bullet head jigs with equal success. The jigs that I'm currently using are in the screen, as you can see in the upper corner. To that jig, I attach a soft plastic tail, which you'll now be looking at in that corner. The one on the top of the screen happens to be a commercial one. The lower ones are all ones that I made myself. The advantage to making them yourself is that you get to play with different colors, and so rather than being restricted to whatever happens to be available online or in the store, you can invent colors and give yourself some additional options to play with. My favorite color at the moment happens to be a motor oil back with a pewter lower half. For whatever reason, the fish seem to like it recently. I'm not sure that I won't have more success with another color, such as black with a minnow silver belly. But I've used black, and I've used white, and I've used pink, and I've used green and brown, all with varying degrees of success. So, hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully you'll pick up some tidbit of information that would be helpful. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks. What you're looking at is a still shot of the screen that's about to come up. There are some anomalies in this screen that I'd want to comment on, but because I can't tell. It says we're in 91.4 feet of water, but it looks like it's shallower than that, although we've got a second image below that, which I suspect is the real bottom. Not quite sure why the image popped up the way it popped up, but what you've got is this line is my jig falling. You'll see that numerous times. The video will scroll from right to left, and so what you're seeing is the progress of that as it falls, hits the bottom, and then you can see where I start to reel it back up again. What you're looking at here, however, is there's a little bit of a thicker signal down here that would have suggested to me at that particular point that there might be a fish following the bait. And in fact, when we get up here, you can see that in fact there is a fish following it that all of a sudden, right at that particular point, turns off. So he heads off, he starts down, changes his mind temporarily and heads back up again, but then says nope, and turns around and heads right back down to the bottom. Oh, and there's a fish already. Whoop. So the fish followed it up, hit it, and then let go. That's kind of interesting. You can see on the screen where the fish was behind it, hit, and then turned off. That's kind of interesting. Frequently, there's a little bit of competition between them, so if a bait lands in the vicinity and they become interested, the fact that there's 2 of them makes them more interested. That one's likely behind it. Oop. I think, yep, he was behind it, but he turned off. He followed it, but decided not to hit. You see how on the screen right there where that fish came up and then his signal kind of disappeared? And what he did is he was following the bait, so it sort of merged with the bait signal. And that's why his signal disappeared at that moment. Try to get a little stronger signal here. I think that trout's coming up after it. I think he's way behind it though, so I think we're not gonna. Oh! He came all the way up. He came up high. Surprisingly, came up high. I have a feeling it's not a very big one. The smaller ones seem to have a tendency to do that. Yep, not very big. And he lets go. Good enough. Oop, there's one. Coming up. Oh, and he turned off. So there were 3 of them down there. And that third one followed it up. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little fleck on the screen right above my finger, just below that bottom arch. And then that fleck continues on up. You can barely see it on the screen, but you can see that that fish was chasing that bait. There's one. I kind of had a feeling there was one following it. It felt a little bit like, it seemed a little bit like there was something there going on. Man, I hope the audio works on this, because this wind today is like torture. And again, it's not a very big one, so let me see if I can get him to throw that hook. Nope, he's not going to throw it. He's going to hang on. He's going to take off on me here. So we'll have to bring him around and, I guess, boat him. So now he loses it. So we'll get him back over and back in the water and let him go. And there he goes. That's a reasonable thing to do. Oh, I may be onto something here. I lifted that bait off the bottom twice. Whoa! This feels like a pretty good fish. Lifted that bait off the bottom a couple of times and then started reeling it right away, and I got on really 2 out of 3 lifts I got hits. And this one feels like a fairly decent fish. I got a feeling I'm going to have to use the net on this one. Kind of want to get a look at him if I can before he heads back down. He's a little bigger. And he tore off my tail again, and he's wound up, which is unfortunate. Not good for him. Nice fish. Nice fish. Let's see if we can't get him back in. And there he goes. Whew. I thought he got my tail, but he didn't. He left it.